Good evening, all. Welcome to Infosys Coding Training, Day 7. Am I audible? Am I audible? Just type yes in the chat. Is my audio clear? Okay. So let me share the screen. Okay. So since everything is set for uh, January 18th exam, that is tomorrow. Okay. So hope everyone prepared well for this exam on January 18th. Okay. So before you go for examinations, okay, so just let me review what are the important topics you need to refresh, okay, or the topics to be covered for Infosys examination, okay. So the very first thing is arrays topic, okay. So Infosys exam will have three levels, okay, of difficulty levels of questions, as we said. Okay, so first one is easy level question, and the second one is medium level question. This we know. Then third one is hard level question. Okay, so then the fourth type is complex question. So easy level question generally will be from arrays and strings. Okay, so the very first question is from arrays and strings most of the times. Okay, so that's why refresh your concepts in both arrays and strings. If you are familiar with Python language, just refresh how arrays and strings are implemented in Python and refresh the problems which you solved. Okay, so if you are familiar with Java, or if you are familiar with C++. Okay, so based on the language in which you are familiar, okay, that means in which you are going to write a examination on Jan 8th in 18th. Okay, so refresh those concepts once again and work out at least some five problems on these arrays. Okay, so five problems of some difficulty level, say from in arrays medium to hard level problems, some kind of a hard problems you work out in arrays, so that it becomes easy for you to complete this easy level question tomorrow. Okay, so next again the examination, and the next topics are trees. Okay, so trees, then greedy approach. So problems related to these trees and the greedy approach. Okay, so generally they comes in the medium level question. Okay, so these two you need to refresh. Okay, so then the next one is graphs. Okay, so graphs, then dynamic programming. Okay, so this dynamic programming, generally the question asked at hard level. Okay, so mainly focuses on the concept called dynamic programming, and complex type of problems will be mainly based on graphs. Okay, so here you aim at completing one question completely. Okay, so this should be your aim in the tomorrow's exam. Okay, so complete one question with all test cases passed. All test cases are passed. Okay, so easy level question, if you can complete a easy level question with all test cases passes. Okay, so then there are fair chances of getting interview call by evening. Okay, so you'll get an interview email so by evening. Okay, so then 1.5 to 2 questions if you can solve. Okay, so minimum 70 to 80% test cases passed. Okay, so if you can solve second question at least half, if you solve second question with some 50, 60, 70% test cases passed. Okay, so then you will get interview call for next package level. Okay, so these are the next, if you can solve 2.5 to 3 questions out of there will be 4 questions given and you need to solve 3 questions. Okay, so if you can solve 3.5, 2.5 to 3 questions, okay, so with 50% test cases passed. Okay, so then you will get the interview call for the next level. Okay, so this is how you should aim. So even one question if you can solve, that means total time, how many uh, hours of time you will have? 3 hours of time you will have. Okay, so in these 3 hours, if you can solve one question completely, okay, so that's enough. You will get interview call. Okay, so that's why I always suggest to spend much time in developing the logic on paper. Okay, so take 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hours, don't worry. Okay, so develop the logic on paper. Okay, so that means input to output mapping. This you should develop on a paper. Okay, so from the given input, if you can derive the output by using some logic. Okay, so that means if you understand the problem statement clearly, then this you can do input to output mapping, you can do easily. Okay, so there are 2 3 test cases will be there. Okay, so test case 1 you try to uh, solve. Okay, so if you are stuck up with somewhere, okay, so explanation for the output is given there. Okay, so read the explanation and how the output is arrived at, that is clearly mentioned in this explanation. So okay, so from this explanation you can understand clearly how the output from input has arrived. Okay, so based on that concept, okay, so now you got some more logic added to your previous logic. Okay, so then go to test case 2. Okay, so go to the test case 2, then try to get the output from the given input. Okay, so now you do input to output mapping using this logic. Okay, so if you are able to arrive at output, okay, so that's well and good. That means you have your own logic for the given problem. Okay, so then this logic now you apply to test case 3. Okay, so if test case 3 also uh, output if you are deriving with this logic, okay, so that means you are done. Okay, so for each test case explanation is given, so read that explanation, spend much of the time on these understanding these test cases problem statement. Okay, so from each test case explanation you will get more and more uh, logic building. Okay, so you'll get more clarity about the problem statement. Okay, so trees and a greedy approach, one problem you will get. Okay, so then dynamic programming related, one problem. Graphs, complex level, you will get one problem. Okay, so if you are familiar with handling arrays, strings and a greedy approach. Okay, so generally greedy approach, what kind of problems? It is just like a maximize. Okay, so some quantity, maximizing the some quantity. Okay, so this kind of, or minimize the cost, minimize the cost. Okay, so these type of problems generally can be solved by using a greedy approach. Okay, so to maximize, always you have to start with a uh, say for example, uh, highest number. Okay, so that's how you can maximize the profit or something. And for minimize, also minimize the cost for something, traveling or something. Okay, so then greedy approach is always start with the minimum number. Okay, so that's how you can minimize the cost for traveling. Okay, then dynamic programming problem. Okay, so that comes under hard level. Okay, so if you are done with these two problems, still you have time, then you can attempt this dynamic programming problem. Got it? Any doubts in this? Yeah, is first question only on array and string. So mostly it will be from arrays and strings, because Infosys uh, many times given question on arrays and strings only. Okay, so if you observe previous Infosys questions, okay, so most of them are from arrays. Even uh, uh, the greedy approach problem may be from arrays. Please remember. Okay, we have solved such a kind of problems in our previous lectures. In my previous videos, I have explained greedy approach problems. Okay, so those greedy approach problems also involve arrays. Okay, so that's why there are fair chances. Question number one and question number two. Okay, so both may be from arrays. Fair chances. Okay, so two questions may be from arrays. So that's why maximum number of problems you might have solved by this time. Okay, so still you have some time. So at least 5 to 6 problems you refresh, solve on your own, then it boosts your confidence. So what about LL? What do you mean by LL here? Mostly first question. Okay. See, on 4th January, trees means, okay, so trees, even the question will be on trees, the concept, okay, but internally it involves arrays only. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, so sometimes for one batch, the first question may be on trees. Okay, so because the questions are jumbled. Okay, so don't worry, but definitely there will be a question on arrays. Got it? Linked list. Linked list, see, linked list is a direct linked list question generally comes very rare. Okay, so how you implement these arrays? Okay, so direct, by using direct arrays you implement. Okay, so or by using linked list you implement, it depends. Okay, so sometimes the problem can be solved by using the linked list instead of arrays. Okay, so just like given a set of numbers. Okay, so you need to add a number somewhere in the middle or something like okay, so in such case if you handle with arrays, you need to move elements towards right and create the space. Okay, so then insert the new element, then find out the subsequence or whatever kind of problem is asked. Okay, so some of that subsequence or something like that. Okay, so to avoid that, we use linked list implementation. Okay, so but because in other languages like C++ and Java, okay, so you cannot add an element in the middle of the array or somewhere in between. Okay, but in Python it is possible because arrays in Python are implemented by using lists. Okay, so lists are nothing but dynamic arrays. So directly you can add an element just like a linked list, how we add an element somewhere in the middle or some. Okay, so that's why handling the arrays in Python are very flexible. Okay, so in Python, we don't use even the concept of linked list. We can manage with the lists itself. Okay, so the lists internally, they are implemented like a linked list. So what else? Yeah, DP, robo destination. Okay, or it is just like a traveling problem. Okay, so going from one node to another node. Okay, then finding what is the minimum cost or the best path. Okay, so those kind of problems will be asked. Okay, so it's just like robo finding the best path for the robo to travel from one point to other point. These kind of problems definitely they will be asked in a DP section. Yeah, laptop. Okay, so there is one question is need to bring to laptop. Okay, so in your mails, is it mentioned laptop? Okay, so if it is mentioned because they have allotted you to some test center. Okay, so since they have allotted you to test center, so then the test center provides all the test center provides all the facilities. Okay, so that means they uh, provide all systems and you are allotted one system. You need to sit on that system and complete your examination. Okay, so if sometimes if the system is not properly working, okay, so they may allow to use your laptop. Okay, so it is better to carry laptop to the test center. Okay, so whether they allow or not, it depends. Okay, so in rare cases this happens. Yeah, that's what a laptop. Okay, so carrying laptop, it is up to you. Okay, because anyhow test center provides all the systems facilities to you. Okay, so the test center people, they provide all uh, facilities to you. So carrying laptop depends on you. Yeah, so any more important doubts? So hope every one of you are going to write exam tomorrow. Everyone got mails for tomorrow's exam? Say yes. Yeah, mostly they will only provide another system. Okay, so because they have some result systems kept for handling these kind of problems. Okay, so mostly they don't allow. Okay, because test center is chosen because everything they will provide. Okay, so that's what taking the laptop to the test center depends on you. It's totally depends on you. Yeah, any practice problems. Okay, so the practice problems are mostly on arrays. As I said, okay, so the practice problems are mostly you work out easy ones means an arrays related problems. Okay, so arrays related problems you work out taking from lead code. Okay, so in lead code, easy problems work out arrays related problems or code forces. Okay, so don't work much of these. Okay, so because you have very less time, so at least 4 5 questions if you can solve on arrays on your own, that is enough. Okay, so you'll get confidence. Tomorrow, definitely, you can easily solve the first question. Okay, but you need to solve these 4 5 questions on your own. Okay, so don't copy code from ChatGPT. Okay, so to boost your confidence, okay, I'm not taking much of your time. So I'll give one simple uh, uh, example problem related to arrays. Just I explain the logic. Okay, so if you practice such kind of problems, then it is well and good. Okay, so we'll move with the problem. Today's problem. Yeah, this is the problem statement. Okay, just see how the problems looks like. This is one of the previous problem I uh, took from the previous Infosys coding questions. Okay, so you are given an array of size n. Okay, so array size is given here, it is n here. So you need to change this array into a mountain. Okay, so you have to convert the array into a mountain. Okay, so when you read the question first time, you will come across with such a new terminology. Okay, so new terms, don't get confused. Okay, so just to keep yourself calm and go on reading the question. Okay, so read the question at least 5 to 10 times. Don't worry. Okay, so 5 to 10 times you read the question. Every time you read the question, you will get a hint from the question. Okay, so don't get annoyed or confused by some new terms in the question. Okay, so you need to change this array into a mountain. Okay, so by mountain, we mean he has given. What do we mean by mountain? By mountain, we mean the either ends of the array should have equal elements. Okay, so array should have end elements equal number of end elements, then you can call that array as a mountain. Okay, so then as we move towards the middle from both ends, the next element is just one more than the previous one. There is one more important. Okay, so starting from the middle. Okay, okay, so the next element is just one more than the previous one. Okay, so as we move towards the middle from both ends. Okay, so that means starting from end of the array. Okay, so if this is your array. Okay, so starting from end of the array, that means first element and last element. If you go towards middle element, assume that this is your middle element, since it is look like a mountain. No? So assume the middle element is at the peak here. Okay, so as you move towards the middle element from both ends. Okay, so both ends, what is the property here? The next element is just one more than the previous one. Okay, so the next element is one more than the previous element. For example, if this first element is 1 and the first element is 1. Okay, so then the next element should be 2 here and the next element should be 2 here. Okay, then the next element is 3. For example, there is only next element. it should be 3. Okay, so this 3, now you can see this array forms the mountain structure. Okay, so you are given the array like this one. Okay, so 2, 3, 2, 1. Then this is a mountain array, you can say. Okay, because from peak element, if you go to the ends, then it is same number of elements. Okay, so in other words, from peak, if you go to the end, it should be one less than from the peak. Okay, so if you go to the next element, one less than. If you go to the next element, it should be one less than. This is how you need to construct the array into a mountain. Okay, this is the given property. It would have a peak in the middle and decrease if you go towards either end, just like a mountain. This is what, okay. So from peak, if you come, it decreases just like a mountain. That means when you are going down from top of the mountain to coming down. Okay, so you are in decreasing order now. Same is the case with this array. Okay, examples given. Just look at the examples. Examples of mountains are like 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. This is an example mountain. Then 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6. So here two peak elements are there. Okay, so if the array size is odd, then there will be only one peak element, middle element. Okay, but if the array size is even, there will be two peak elements. Okay, so that means the peak contains two elements. Then your mountain looks like this. It is 8, comma 8. Okay, so then if you come this side, it is 7 and it is 7, then 6 and 6. This is how your mountain array looks like. It is like this. Okay, so it is clearly given examples of mountain arrays. These two are mountain arrays, but the array given here 1, 2, 4, 2, 1 is not a mountain. It is not a mountain array. Why? Because when you go from a 2 to next element 4, the difference is 2, but it is given that when you move, okay, it should be one more than the previous one. It should be one more than the previous one. Okay, so I am highlighting these kind of properties you should note down on paper. You should note down these properties on paper so that you can build the logic easily. Okay, so that's why this is not a mountain array. Similarly, it is given the array 1, 2, 3, 1 is also not a mountain array because the elements 2 and 3 are not equal from both ends. Okay, so see here. So there is no peak element. Generally, the array is even size here. In the even size, we'll have two middle elements are known to be peak elements. Okay, they should be equal actually, but they are not equal here. Okay, so or you can also see that from 1 to 3, if you go, then the difference is 2 here. From this end, it is okay. From this end, it is okay. 1 to 2 increasing 1, 2 to 3 increasing 1, but 3 to 1 it is decreasing by 2. Okay, so that's why it is not a mountain array. This is also. So what you need to do, you need to find the minimum number of elements that should be changed to make the array a mountain. Okay, so you need to convert a given array into a mountain. Okay, so the minimum number of elements that should be changed. Okay, so how many minimum number of elements you need to change so that the given array becomes a mountain array. Okay, so you can make the elements negative or 0 as well. Okay, so that means you can change the elements to negative numbers. Okay, or you can also convert them into zeros. Like this, if you convert them into negative numbers and zeros, then it should become a mountain array. Okay, so such kind of changes, how many such a minimum changes, number of changes are required. Okay, so that is what the task in this problem is. Okay, so got Got it? So here, someone given the solution. Check whether the array is palindrome and difference between elements is only one. Okay, so that again, uh, even when you check a palindrome, okay, so elements can be of any size. Okay, they may increase in any order. So that you need to check, and the difference also you need to check. Two times you need to uh, access the array. Okay, traverse the array, which increases the complexity. Okay, so better you devise another technique like this. Yeah, someone given written exam on 4th January, prepared all easy problems. Okay, so and finally, my suggestion is okay. So even if you prepare 100 problems, okay, even if you prepare 100 problems, okay, so then the kind of problem that appears in Infosys exam, okay, so is not from these 100 problems. It is a brand new problem that you never come across till now. Okay, so that problem is not available even in the internet also. A brand new problem you will see in the examination. Okay, so the thing is, you need to understand the problem properly, and you need to understand the logic present in the problem. Okay, so this all involves how good you are at problem solving. Okay, so if you are good at problem solving, then only you can able to solve these kind of problems. Okay, so these problem solving techniques, how you can improve. Preparing 100 problems is not uh, important here. Okay, so solving 100 problems on your own, solving 100 problems on your own. Okay, so that's how you can develop your problem, you can improve your problem solving skills. Okay, so generally the what kind of mistake we do is we prepare. Okay, so we only prepare 100 or 200 problems. So if you prepare 100 200 problems, that doesn't improve your problem solving skill. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to solve on your own. Okay, you need to develop the logic on your own. For even if you solve 50 problems, that's enough. Okay, so that means given a problem, given a new problem, you know how to arrive at the solution, how to solve this problem. Okay, so if you know this technique, okay, so then you can solve any kind of a question. That is my suggestion. Okay, right. So the easy one was from the hard level, right? See, uh, the kind of questions that you'll get, okay, like say for example, don't think that the first question that appears is always from easy level. Okay, so you are given a 1 2 3 4 questions. Okay, so my suggestion is first you read all 4 questions. Okay, read the first question, read the second question, read the third question, read the fourth question. Okay, so then from these 4 questions, you need to identify which one belongs to easy level. Okay, which one belongs to medium hard level. moderate level, then which one belongs to hard level. Okay, so from these, if you read 1, 2, 3, 4 problems, okay, then you will get some idea. You'll get some idea that I can solve this problem. You'll get some confidence that I can solve this problem. This problem is somewhat easy compared to other problems. Okay, so don't attack the first problem itself. Don't try to solve the first question itself. Okay, so try to read all the 4 questions first. This is my suggestion. Okay, because if the first question itself is from hard level, then you will stuck up all the 3 hours. You'll work on only on this hard problem. Got the point? They will not mention this is from easy level, this is from hard level. Okay, right. Now, so given this input is you need to understand this input format also. So input n value, it is an integer. Then the first line contains an integer n. This denotes the number of elements in the array. Okay. Then next array, integer array. Then each line in subsequent lines contains an integer describing ith element of the array. Okay, so next elements denotes elements in the array. Let us see a sample input here. Okay, so 5 is given. This 5 is nothing but n value, that means the number of elements in the array are 5. Then you are given the array. Okay, so assume that this is our array. Okay, so our array is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now, so is it a mountain array? No, this is not a mountain array. Okay, so because from ends, see here, this is the peak element. So from peak element, if you go down, now still it is increasing. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to convert this array into a mountain array. Okay, so how you can convert this into mountain array? How you can convert this into mountain array? Okay, so that means if you look at the peak element is 3 here. Okay, so if you come this side, so it is 2 decreasing by 1. Okay, but if you come this side, it is increasing 4. Okay, so that means you need to change this. You need to change this to 2. Okay, and similarly from 2 to 1, if you come this side, it is decreasing 1. Okay, but from here 4, if you come this side, it is increasing 5. Okay, so increasing to 5. Okay, so that means you need to change this number to 1. Okay, so how many changes you required here? There are 2 changes, 4 and 5. These two numbers, if you can change it to 2 and 1, then the array becomes a mountain array. Okay, so it looks like this. It looks like a mountain array now. Okay, so what is the answer here? Output is 2. That means how many number of changes required here? These two elements, how many number of elements you need to change? These two elements 4 and 5 you need to change so that it becomes a mountain array. Okay, so what are those changes? 2 and 1. You need to make 4, 5 as a 2 and 1. Okay, so here he asked only the number of changes required. Okay, so 2 elements we need to change to make it a mountain array. Got it? Similarly, we'll work with one more sample input here. Okay, so n value is 9 here. Okay, so let us look at the array here. Our array contains say 1, 1, 1, then say 2, 3, 2. Okay, so 1, 1, 1. Okay, right? So is it a mountain array? Is it a mountain array? Okay, so no. Okay, because the elements should increase from 1 to 2. next element, from the first element, if you go to the second element, it should increase by 1. Okay, from second, if you go to the third, it should increase by 1. Okay, but it is not happening, so that's why it is not a mountain array. Okay, so what you need to do, then you check out here. Okay, so from 3, if you, from peak element, okay, so if you come down this side, okay, so it is decreasing. Okay, so even on the right side also, if you come right side, it is also decreasing. Okay, so no problem. Again, from 2 to 1, from 2, if you come towards left side, okay, so this side it is decreasing, this side also it is decreasing. Again, from this element to this element, if you come towards left and right, here also it is decreasing. Okay, so that means up to this part, it is a mountain array. Okay, so no doubt, up to this part, it is a mountain array. Okay, but from this element to this element, if you come this side, okay, so then it is not decreasing. Okay, so that means you need to change this element. Okay, so this element to 0 here. Okay, similarly on the right side also, if you come from this element to this element, it is not changing here, so that means you need to change this element also. So this element you change to 0. Okay, so again, from this element to this element, if you come, then it is not decreasing. Okay, so that means you need to change this element to -1. The elements can be negative, he said. Okay, so you change it to -1. Same is the case on the other side. So if you come to this side, you need to change this element to -1. Okay, so this should become a -1. So then this becomes a mountain array. Now you can call it as a mountain array. So how many changes we required here? Now see, 4 arrows. I kept 4 arrows. That means these 4 elements you need to change so that it becomes a mountain array. So output is given as a 4. Got it? Got the output? Yes or no? Okay. So this is how you should arrive at some solution. Got it? Yeah, coming to test cases, you will have two kinds of test cases. Okay, so all these test cases, sample test cases, okay, so they are called as a public test cases. Public test cases, okay, so which are shown to us. Okay, so a sample input and sample output, and also you will be given the explanation for them. Okay, so why this output has come, the explanation is also given. Okay, so after typing your code in the editor, okay, so the very first thing is you need to run your code. Okay, so when you run your code, then it checks against these public test cases. Your code is tested against these public test cases. Okay, so if there are 3 public sample input output test cases, okay, so then it shows a tick mark for test case 1. Okay, so tick mark for test case 2, tick mark for test case 3. So if for all the 3 test cases, you'll get green color test tick marks. Okay, so that shows that the public test cases you have, your code has passed. Okay, so then you will have a button called as a submit button. Okay, so when you click on this submit button, okay, so then at the back end, they will have a private test cases. Okay, or you can also call them as hidden test cases, private test cases. Okay, so when you submit, then your code will be tested against these private test cases. Okay, so there may be 12 private test cases approximately. Okay, so from previous examination it is known that there may be 12 private test cases. Okay, your code will be tested against all these private test cases. Okay, so out of 12, if your code passes all the test cases, okay, so then you will get a message like accepted with a green color. Okay, so like this you will get accepted. Okay, so that means your code is accepted, satisfying all the test cases. Okay, so you are done with your problem. That is the meaning. You can go to the second problem. So if some of the test cases it has out of 12, okay, so test case 1 it has passed, 2 it has passed, like this it has passed some 8 test cases. Okay, then from 9 to 12 you may get the red marks like this. That means these 4 test cases it is failing with these 4 test cases. So you need to again modify. So that's what I suggest. You from the given constraints and from the given problem statement, you should able to judge the test cases also. Okay, so generally these test cases when you are failing, mainly they are related to boundary cases. Okay, so people don't handle boundary cases. For example, n value is given, okay, some n value is given here. So when n value becomes 0, okay, so what should be the output for the given problem statement you should identify. Okay, you should also check what is the constraint given for n value, whether n value is 0 less than or equals to something like n less than or equals to 10 to the power of 5. Okay, or is it starting from 1 onwards, like this you should check the constraints. Okay, and when given test cases are given, n value is always given for n is equal to 3 or n is equal to 5. Okay, or n is equal to some other number he checks. But when n is equals to 1, what happens? You should understand this case, boundary case. Okay, similarly, when n value is very big, okay, so sometimes what happens? Your code stuck up in a loop. Okay, so it never ends. Okay, so these cases you should mainly handle. Okay, so these are called boundary cases. Generally, at boundary cases, many test cases, many times our code fails. Got some idea? Okay, got some idea? So public test cases and private test cases. That is what happens generally, and more oftenly, students what they do is they develop the code keeping these numbers in mind. Okay, that means they develop a code for specific cases only. Okay, they understand that our array always contains only these kind of numbers. That's it. Okay, so you should generalize your solution must be a generalized one. Please remember, it should not be specific to any array. It should be a generalized one. Then it should handle all kinds of arrays and all kinds of test cases it should handle. Okay, so that's why if you develop the logic keeping these numbers in mind, 1 2 3, okay, in mind, and if you develop, that's why after developing your logic for sample input 1, okay, so you test your logic whether it is giving this output. Okay, so that's why you need to trace line by line. You need to trace line by line as I did in previous videos. Okay, so the code you should trace line by line for these numbers. Okay, no doubt, even if it takes half an hour. Okay, but you trace. If it is unable to generate this output on paper, okay, so you need to change your code. That means you are not handling some different kind of numbers. Got it? Okay. So many students write develop logic keeping this numbers given input array in mind. That is too specific. We'll say the solution is too specific. Okay. But your solution should be a generalized one. Okay. So while tracing the test cases itself, okay, in your mind, you should get, okay, if your test case is of this kind, if the numbers are like this, if something comes here, okay, whether my logic works or not. Okay. So you should able to generate some test cases on your own. Okay. While solving the problem, if you can do this test case generation on your own, and if you apply whether your logic works fine or not. Okay. So 100% you will get a good code, a better code you will develop. Okay, so fair chances of getting all test cases passed. Okay, so the very first thing is have patience, have patience in testing your, have patience in testing your code or your logic with given. Okay, so with the given sample input and outputs after writing your code. Okay, so manually on paper. Okay, so you check whether for this sample input it is generating the proper output or not. So generally what they do is they write some code. Okay, they run the code. Okay, so then the test case when it fails, then they go back and they do some changes. Okay, so they don't understand why this code fails. Okay, if you can work on paper taking this input, okay, then executing your code on paper, if you arrive at this output, okay, so then definitely you are on the correct way. Okay, so go to next test case. Again take a input on paper, you do this. Okay, if you can generate the output there on paper itself, that means you are 100% written the correct code. Okay, so what we do is let me show the code for this. Okay, so I'll run the code. Okay, so we'll go back to IDLE. Okay, so this is simple code. Okay, so from the logic what we discussed. Okay, so this is the code. Let me just run this code and let me pass the inputs, sample inputs given. Okay, so I'm just running the code. Go to run button, click the run module. Okay, so then it asks you to pass the input. Okay, so let me pass the sample input here. So our input is, yeah, this is our input. Yeah, so the input I'm copying here. This one I should copy. It is given in improper order. You are getting this input copied here. So let me enter the values here. Okay, so directly I'll enter the value. So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. So it is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if I enter, just you can see the output 2 here. That means the number of changes required are 2. So as we did for sample input 1, okay, so we saw that 4 and 5 needs to be changed. 2 changes we require. Okay, so that's why we got the output as a 2 here. Got it? Okay, so this way you can just look at the code and you can work out. Okay, so a simple code. This you need to just go through this code. Okay, so just I'm calling inside the main, I'm calling the function called solve. Okay, so then this. Okay, so 4 5 lines of code, then you can get the solution. Okay, so I wish you all the best. So prepare well, utilize the time, prepare more questions, as many questions as possible. Okay, so keep yourself cool, go with confidence. Okay, so don't worry about the kind of problems that may appear in tomorrow's exam. Okay, so just uh, keep yourself cool and calm and go to the examination center. Okay, so definitely you can crack the test. So thank you one and all. If you have any doubts, I can just clarify your doubts. Type your doubts in the chat. Exam related, if you have any doubts, just you can in the chat box, you can just type your doubts. So take a printout of your mail, okay, whatever mail you got. So take printout of that mail. Don't carry any uh, gadgets, electronic gadgets. Yeah, so there is one problem so I have written a logic that passes three public test cases, but once I submitted, then zero test cases passed. Okay, so what is the problem? Okay, so that is what I was telling, right? Okay, so the problem uh, that happens with your code is, okay, so your code may be specific to the test case. Okay, so specific to the given public test cases. Okay, so you might have written uh, code keeping the given public test cases in mind. It works only for those three inputs. Okay, so I said at the back end when you submit your code, okay, so your code will be tested against private test cases. Okay, so those private test cases are not known to us. Okay, so that's why your code should be a generalized one, keeping the problem in mind. Okay, and the kind of logic you should develop, okay, should pass all the private test cases. Okay, so that means your code may be failed to handle the boundary cases. Okay, and you should be able to devise some test cases on your own. Okay, so devise some test cases on your own. Okay, so that means as I said, from the given test cases you can also find out some test cases. Okay, so from the given test cases you have some sequence of numbers. Okay, then you can think of if some number comes somewhere here, okay, or some number comes somewhere here. Okay, so what happens? That kind of test cases will present in the private test cases. These type of are present in the private test cases. Okay, so your code failed to handle those test cases. If all private test cases are passed, then only your code will be submitted. Okay, it is considered, your code will be considered. Okay, so at least 50% test cases it is passing. Okay, so still it is considered. Okay, but if zero test cases, then your code is not considered. Okay, so all it matters how many private test cases your code is passing. That is very, very important. Okay, so that's why you should devise some own test cases. Okay, then you will come to know why my code fails. This also you should practice. Okay, so uh, this comes by practice only, by solving problems on lead code or code forces. Okay, so then because sometimes they show the private test cases also, you should note down all those test cases. Oh, this is how they design the test case from boundary conditions, constraints. Okay, these kind of test cases will be designed, that you should understand. Okay, so if you look at a hacker rank, okay, hacker rank, code forces, okay, then lead code, code chef. From these platforms you should understand how they are designing the private test cases. Okay, so in some platforms if you submit the code, they also give these private test cases. Okay, so then you need to understand how they are designed from the given constraints and problem statement. Okay, so this also you should understand. Got it? Yeah, understood. Three test cases are different. Okay, so those test cases may be passed, but private test cases, your code failing to satisfy all the private test cases. Okay, so that means somewhere you are missing the logic. That is the problem in the code. Okay, so if some of you are still need to refresh your data structures. Okay, so DSA concepts. Okay, so those who are who are in DSA. Okay, so I am going to start a DSA with Python. Okay, so from 21st January onwards. Okay, so join the WhatsApp group. Okay, so I'll send the updates in the WhatsApp group and in my Telegram group. Okay, so I'll share the uh, link. Okay, so this is the YouTube video link. Okay, so in the description you can find the WhatsApp group link and Telegram group link. Okay, so join those groups and you'll get all the updates. And same evening 7 o'clock, we will have live session every day or alternate days. Okay, so so thank you one and all. If you have still any more doubts, I can just take up. Otherwise, we'll end the session for today. Yeah, let me share one more question. Okay, so the question related to trees, how it would be. Okay, so just I'll show uh, the kind of question that will be asked on trees. Okay, so just I'll show the, yeah, this is the kind of question that was asked previously. Okay, so it is like this tree related question, just like this. Okay, so you have a tree with n vertices rooted at I. Each node of the tree has an integer a of I. So Alice and Bob are playing a game. At the start of the game, Bob is at the root. Okay, so this is a root node, and Bob will be at the root node at the start of the game. Okay, so this is what given here. So Alice and Bob will play the following game. Okay, so the game rules are given like this. Alice chooses a node I and sets a of I equals to 0. Okay, so assume that there are some nodes here in the tree like this. It can be in any way. Okay, so the game ends when Bob reaches a leaf or decides to stop. Okay, so that means Bob will be at the root node at the beginning of the game. Okay, so if Bob reaches to leaf node, one of the leaf nodes, okay, so then the game ends. Or if he decides to stop, he decides to stop at some node, then also the game ends. Okay, so the score of the game is the value of a of I at the node where the Bob stops. Okay, so assume that the Bob stops at this node. Okay, so each node is given some number like this. Say for example, this is 7, this is 5. Okay, so this is 3, this is 8. Okay, so this is 4, this is something like a 6. Like this the numbering will be given. So assume that if Bob stops at this leaf node, then the game ends. The value of this leaf node will become the score of the game. Okay, so Alice wants to minimize the score. Always Alice wants to minimize the score, while Bob wants to maximize the score. Bob always wants to maximize the score. That means he always wants to stop at a uh, highest node. Okay, so some node contains the highest number, then he wants always wants to go to that node. Okay, and Alice always wants to minimize the score. Okay, so how he minimizes? Because if Alice chooses a node, then he makes the node value as 0. Okay, for example, if Alice chooses this node, so what is the value of this node? 5. So then the node value becomes a 0. Okay, so after Alice chooses this node, then Bob should move to one of the nodes. Okay, so then Bob always looks at a node whose value is greater. Okay, so he moves to one of his children nodes. Okay, he moves to one of the children nodes where the node value is highest number. That's how they play the game. Okay, so how the game ends, it is given here. Then what is our aim? Find the score of the game if both Alice and Bob play optimally. Okay, so that is what optimally means. Alice always chooses uh, that the score of the Bob will be minimum. Okay, so and Bob always tries to go to a node whose value is highest. Okay, so this is called the optimal way of playing the game. Okay, so these kind of questions uh, based on trees are asked. Okay, so they were given, this question was given in previous examination. Okay, so just for your understanding, I have shown this question. Okay, so if you have time, then you can work out this problem. Okay, so you will get some idea how to solve such a tree related problems. So okay, thank you one and all for wishing you all the best. So if you found this video useful, so please like the video, share the link of this video with your friends, and if you are new to my channel, please subscribe to the channel and also click on the bell icon for more updates and notification related to placements. Thank you one and all.